And here we are, live, or perhaps undead? Whoa! God.
I have to say, I was very impressed with your ability to just whip together a light vampire cosplay at the last minute.
Thank you.
Or is this just how you always dress?
This is what I wear every day with my silk wrap. Yes.
It's good. It's good to
Very
be
stylish.
Yeah. We're doing something a little different today, isn't that right, Alex?
Yes, I've been wanting to do this forever. I keep thinking we gotta get some folks who are playtesting their games and bring them on. It's still unplaytested because this is the first time this has ever been done. So this will be really cool. Super excited to have you on. Mimi, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell the internet anything you want it to know.
Yes, hello. I am Mimi, also known as Michelle Jones. I am a freelance RPG writer, and tonight we are going to be playing the micro RPG that I wrote for Utopia's by POC Vamp Day Game Jam.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
kind
my
of a
gosh.
mouthful, but
I'm very excited.
A logistical point of order. If this is the first time that something is being playtested, does that mean technically this is Uno playtested?
well, it hasn't ever been playtested before this. At this moment, it's unplaytested.
Right. It's
so.
still unplaytested until we start going to it. Yeah. And but then we have to decide when does a playtest really count? Is it only when we've finished our playthrough, or is it as soon as we start reading it?
My plan is to provide Mimi with no valuable feedback whatsoever, so this doesn't even count as a playtest.
I think that's just a bad playtest. I don't think it doesn't count as not existing.
Ah.
I could see you trying to weasel your way out of it, but
I'm doing everything in my power to avoid playtesting on this damn channel, and here we are.
Yep. That's all right. We'll see how it goes. Are you interested in telling people about any of the inspirations behind the game or anything? Do you just want to jump in and start going?
I'll talk a little bit about it. So the game is called A Life Behind Glass. It is the premise is a group of humans and vampires go into a museum together, and as they start to look at certain exhibits, they argue about the truth behind them. Mortals only have what they've read in books and what they've been taught in school, but vampires who've been around for hundreds, possibly thousands of years, they saw these things happen firsthand, and so they have a very different perspective. And so I wanted to capture the energy of getting into a petty argument with your friends about something that you know is a fact and that they don't believe. I got there are a couple of other inspirations for this game. I think about that scene in Black Panther with Eric Killmonger in the museum when the museum curator starts telling him the history of this mask, and he says, "No, that's wrong." Because I think that is just like a great moment.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so good. I need to watch that movie again. It's been forever since I've seen it, actually.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah. Okay, hyping up the Vamp Jam in the thing. I'm pretty sure that link will work. They had a very adorable snafu when they first tried to hype up the Vamp Jam, because they tried putting in everything properly capitalized, and for some reason Itch.io gets really annoyed about your links and their capitalization, so it didn't work. So if anyone tries to click on that link and it doesn't work, just let me know and we'll try it. But I think it worked when I did it, so hopefully it's good. All right. I am super excited to check this game out. So shall we jump in and start reading through it? How would you prefer to do that? Do you want to read it all to us, or we could alternate reading sections of it, or anything?
I'll read the intro, and then I will let you take turns after that.
Sweet.
So, A Life Behind Glass is a GM-less, no-prep RPG about heated arguments with friends, being forgotten by history, and having the remnants of one's life put on display. A Life Behind Glass can be played with any number of players, although it is best with 2 or 4. As you can see, we have 3, but it's fine. Players should divide themselves as evenly as possible between mortals and vampires. Each player must decide on a name for their character and a general appearance, but leave all other details to be determined over the course of play. You need 3 dice for this game. You need an 8-sided die, a 6-sided die, and a 4-sided die. The game begins with mortals and vampires all entering a museum together. As you explore, each of you will be drawn to certain attractions and displays. Take turns rolling on tables to determine the nature of the item that you are drawn to, and then describe the specifics of the item to the other players. Your D8 is going to give you an adjective that describes the item. Your D6 is going to give you a noun that tells you the type of item it is. And your D4 is going to tell you the emotion you feel when you first see it. And then you tell the other characters something you know about the history of this item and why it is significant to you.
That's cool. All right. Should we read the next bit, or do we want to do any rolls first?
How about we start with deciding who's going to be a mortal and who's going to be a vampire? We can do 2 and 1, or well, either 2 mortals or 2 vampires, depending on what people would rather be.
I mean, I feel like, wouldn't any right-thinking person rather be a vampire?
That makes sense to me, yeah. And I feel like it's more with 3 people, it keeps the story more like open-ended. If you're like, listen, there's 2 people who know a lot about this, but they also might disagree with each other.
All right, so we're doing 2 vampires then.
Yeah, that seems cool.
Does either of you do? I think I know what Lars' answer is. Alex, which role would you rather play? Because I'm fine with doing either one.
I'll be immortal.
Okay.
That's the first time I've ever said that in a TTRPG.
Yay, I get to be a vampire.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, cool. And we should come up with names and general appearances.
Let's see. I'll go with a very classic vampire name. I'll go with Eliza.
Ooh. Very nice.
Estrella Delacour.
Oh.
Ooh, Delacour.
Very good. What's my mortal name gonna be? Y'all have really cool names, so I guess I don't want to just be like Jeff.
That would be the mortal thing to do.
It would be very mortal, perhaps overly mortal. What's a good? Because I'm supposed to like know things about history and be sort of well read, or I think that I am. So what's a like a cool? I looked up famous historian names, and they're like, you should be Karl Marx or Niccolo Machiavelli. I'm like, I don't feel like I know either of them for being a historian. My character's name is Xenophon. Let's go with. Oh boy, okay. If I named myself after Edward Gibbon, then we would all have E names, and it would be really confusing. Okay, my name is Jeff, but I am channeling Geoffrey of Monmouth, who was a famous British cleric, apparently, and he has a really goofy looking statue. So it's Jeff, but it's spelled like Geoff.
Okay.
Excellent. Very good. You can change your name badge if you so desire.
Oh, I should do that. Let me.
That might be a good idea, so we can actually remember.
Yeah, I'm not going to remember Jeff.
Jeff is also going to use he, him pronouns because he's basic.
And we need to decide our general look.
Ooh, we have a fan in the comments. Hi. Thanks for joining us. We are just creating our characters for this game now.
Yes. So let's see. So Eliza is definitely like a very classic vampire, very well dressed, very polished looking. Definitely got like red irises, like not quite glowing, but just a little disconcerting. Definitely has not had a haircut in about 400 years, so just braids all the way down the back.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's so good. Because your hair, is it? I can never remember if it's a real thing for like regular dead humans, if your hair does keep growing for a bit after you're dead or not.
I do not believe it does.
I
think
I feel like it's something that was from a scary story's anthology.
Recedes and dries out, and it makes it look like your hair and nails keep going for a little bit.
That would make sense.
Welcome to the Corpse Talk with Laura. Speaking of which, I'm going full ass Nosferatu.
Oh yes.
I am gaunt. I am pallid. I have real sharp chompers, and I am thoroughly ensconced in the cloak that I must wear out so as not to cause panic when I am à la musée, as they say.
Wonderful. Is it like a lush regal cloak, or is it like frayed and horrible and you've been wearing it for 500 years?
Ooh. You know what? I think it is a like modest but in very good repair. It's a quality cloak. I have quality raiments beneath, but the body within them is definitely living corpse in all of its ghoulish glory.
Nice.
I love it.
Okay. Jeff is going to
tweed jacket, leather patches at the elbows. Come on.
Yeah, I feel like he just has to look like kind of a nerd. He's definitely okay. He's one of those guys who is like in his early 20s but is still rocking the like I'm a professor who is in his 60s look for sure.
I love it.
He's got the round glasses and the jacket with the elbow patches, maybe like a green jacket with the brown patches on it. And he is wearing, oh god, is he so terrible that he's wearing like khaki shorts to the museum? That's too bad. No, he's just wearing regular pants like a normal person.
Yeah, dressing like his favorite high school teacher.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff had a very close relationship with his high school English teacher, who was his only friend.
Love it.
Not in a creepy way, just a regular way.
Just in a sad way.
Just a sad way, yeah. Okay, so we got our dice, got our stuff. Is there any thought on who should roll first?
I don't know. Is there a rule for this?
You know, I didn't think to establish a rule for who goes first, which that was a blind spot on me, but
we forget that until we're actually writing our games like 90% of the time and don't realize it every time. Yeah, it's the easiest thing to forget.
Who was the last person to go to a museum? Let's do that.
Oh boy.
We're digging way back in the memory.
I know. No one's
We
been
all
anywhere in so long.
We have a vote from the chat that Estrella should go first.
I mean, who can deny the chat?
Chat has spoken.
Yeah. I also love the idea of a vampire that, that only wears, oh no, we're both trying to click things. I'm so sorry. Now I'm doing it on purpose. Okay. That only wears purple, black, and pink. That's a good eternal aesthetic.
That's a vampire with an aesthetic. And that's,
yeah. If you had to pick three
cool.
colors to stick with for centuries, those are really going to do you well.
Anyway, since there has been a vote for me, shall I just roll? Shall I just?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to roll some dice. 5, 5, 4, which indicates that what I am. Hell yeah, kawaii goth vamp. Shit, is it too late to change my answer? What I am drawn to is a hideous personal effect that makes me feel melancholy.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go down here and do some reading. Vampires know what they experienced firsthand. When a vampire describes an item, mortals can say some stuff about it to disagree with what I'm saying. Okay. Determine the nature of the item you're drawn to, then describe the specifics to the other players. Tell the other characters something you know about the history of this item and why it is significant to you. So a hideous personal effect. In fact, yes. As something of a hideous personal effect myself. As a vampire with a hideous personal affect, I'm often rendered melancholic when I see a hideous personal effect. I think that as we make our way into the museum, arm in arm in arm, I assume, I feel sort of an energy pulling me off to one corner of I don't know, man. God, I should have looked up what's in museums.
So personal effects, that could be old letters, that could be accessories, that could be, just something that someone was walking around with.
I think what I see is it's from early American history. It is a colonial artifact from a display on, the colonizing of America. And it's frigate. It's Roanoke. It's something out of Roanoke. They got a whole big thing on artifacts recovered from the disappearance of Roanoke colony. And the one that draws my particular note, it's a diary, a collection of personal writings. But it is, what did I say? Disgusting? Hideous. It is hideous. Not necessarily because of the content, but because of the outside of it. It's almost as if somebody tried to jimmy together a Necronomicon out of leaves. The outside of this small book has been pasted over with foliage that at this point is kind of ancient and decayed. Someone attempting to liven up their personal diary and make a little leaf face. Which, lo, these many years later, after, how does one even preserve such a thing, especially having been abandoned for decades and then in the back of some museum closet for centuries? Frankly, it looks worse than I do. And I feel melancholic about it, and I say, oh, yes. Yes, I have seen this before, ages hence, long ago. This seems to me, was something. It makes me sad to see these things falling on such hard times. This is, after all, a right proper alchemist's textbook, as one found throughout the early Roanoke area, but so much of that knowledge has been lost, ill preserved, and Lord knows, as usual, the curators here have no idea what they're doing with it. Whatever knowledge is still left inside there is due to be dust in, oh gosh, a century or two, if that. How fraught, how frustrating it is. Isn't it, Eliza?
It's just tragic, dear. It's just tragic.
Just tragic.
And Jeff has like leaned closer to look at the little placard on the glass display case, and says, "Well, this here seems to say that it's just a regular diary, not some sort of alchemist's codex. That shouldn't be possible. So I'm describing a contradiction in your story or established history."
I'm told that this prompt can be used as a starting point for a longer discussion, debate, or argument about the item or history in question. Oh, yes, of course it reads like a diary to one of you. By which I mean historians, very used to seeking out the obvious answer. It's a simple bit of substitution ciphering. All the good alchemists use it.
Because you can't just leave all your secrets on display for anyone to read through.
Well, I guess that makes sense. Okay. And maybe there are some pictures of like different pages that are there from previous times when they've like very carefully turned a page with like a little page turning Q-tip or whatever you use. Probably you just wear a glove.
Probably just like a white linen glove, but whatever.
Yeah. So I think there's maybe one of the pages is someone like talking about a recipe for scrambled eggs, and as we're looking at it, it's like break 3 1/4 egg and then like add like 3.171482 ounces salt and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, this actually does seem a little bit weird. uh why do you know so much about this? Were you there at this colony before it disappeared? What happened?
Oh, me? Oh, you want me to talk about myself? Oh my.
In song form, if possible.
Well, I couldn't, but actually. Was I there? Was I there? Was I in the Americas in the 1600s? Goodness gracious, no. The place is unwelcoming at the time. No. I simply have a natural affinity for the natural magics. I can sort of sense them. I can sort of send them out. It's sort of it's a particular accoutrement of my particular kindred.
Wow, that's fascinating. You really must tell me more sometime, I say, but I'm clearly like very like nervous.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, it's very dangerous knowledge to behold. After all, looking at how insufficiently encoded this particular page was, it could be an indication that was behind the great Roanoke wolfening that you almost certainly didn't hear about in your primitive mortal schools.
No, I do not know anything about that, actually.
It's quite a tragic event. Wolves, they smell just terrible. But anyway, you don't want to know about alchemy. It's all boring, stuffy nonsense. I mean, I suppose if you cared about turning lead into gold, that would be one thing. But who needs such ephemeral currency?
It's true. Yeah, at this point, I just want to turn rainforests into Bitcoin like all other humans.
Bitcoin, the only vampire-approved currency.
It's so cute when you use those made-up words like that.
But one of these days, I am going to get you to use a computer, and it's really going to blow your mind.
A computer? Never. Refuse. Flat no, thank you.
All right, let's have Jeff roll for an item.
Okay.
Yes, lead the way, Jeff. Show us something that you find interesting.
Of course. Let me just roll my dice. So I've got an 8 and a 6 and a 4. Boop. 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 Okay, I got 5, 1, 3. So I have another hideous item. It is a hideous weapon that fills me with a sense of peace. Cool. Okay. So I think we are moving on, and there is a case that is I have to think if this is a real thing or not. Yeah, okay, that's for sure a thing. All right. So I'm gonna say that as we are going on, there is, I guess, because we're in like the early Americas section of the museum, I have happened to find a let me grab this link. There's a section on artifacts of the Aztec Empire, and assuming that link works, I can send it to the chat. We find a super intense, if not necessarily hideous, ceremonial. I keep trying to figure out how to pronounce this. Mahuatl, I think, or Makwahuit, something like that. I don't know. It's one of those things that is, the pronunciation and the letters involved are a little bit different, but it's one of the ceremonial and actual weapons of Aztec people that looks very intense, with cool skulls and inscriptions and carvings on it, and fearsome little obsidian blades coming off the sides. But for whatever reason, Jeff is filled with a sense of peace and serenity when he looks at it, and yeah. So then I know what I have taught, read, or learned through study, and when I describe an item, each vampire may choose one of the following. So there's various potential things in there. So let's say, here's a thing that I don't actually know if this is true or not, because it's something that I have heard that I don't know if it's an actual historical fact. So Jeff also thinks the same thing. The fun tidbit Jeff likes to share is that the reason that, okay, I'm just doing a quick Google pronunciation. I swear I've looked up pronunciation for this like 4 times. It's, help me out, YouTube. Is this, they're taking so long to get to the part where they actually say it. Come on. Makwahuit. Okay. It seems like there's some dispute whether you actually pronounce the L or not. I'm going to call it a Makwahuit. So, he is letting y'all know what he learned, maybe from Wikipedia or maybe from more dubious sources, that this type of weapon, it has sort of the broad, flat, paddle-like part of it, so that it can be used both as a slashing weapon with the obsidian edges of it, which are horrifyingly sharp, or if you want to just bludgeon somebody unconscious with it, that's why it has the flat part on there. And you know what? That feels kind of nice to Jeff. You know, it's there's something pleasant about your weaponry having a non-lethal option built right into it, isn't it? It just seems nicely versatile.
Analysis. Not that old thing. I'm going to describe a negative experience I had involving the item or its previous owner.
Awesome.
It says, ugh, just looking at it is just making me uncomfortable. Almost took my head off the last time I saw it.
Oh my goodness. You mean that, like this specific one?
Oh yeah. You see that chip there where it's been damaged and just points to like a very tiny scar here. It's still in there somewhere. I haven't been able to get it out.
Oh my, wow. That's wonderful. Well, no wonder we were drawn over here.
The pre-colonial vampire hunters were much better at it than the people who came over later. They were quite dangerous. Nowadays, it's all garlic and crosses. Ooh, count this rice.
Indeed, back in the day, they understood that what you come after someone is with a big flat blade for the head. It works on vampires. It works on regular mortals. It just works. It's just the old ways are the best ways, don't you know?
They are the best.
Wow. So what I mean, you don't have to tell me or anything, but like I'm cool. I'm one of your friends, right? I'm not going to turn against you. So like what does happen if y'all get your heads cut off? Cuz I thought there was the whole stake through the heart thing. Is that?
Oh, I mean, that also works. The issue is when the head comes off, you can't get it back on, and then it's just, what do you do from there?
It's just a hassle. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, could you imagine being that fellow from New England who just carries his head next to him? That would be embarrassing.
Yeah. Very, yeah. You would never live it down. You'd have to like stitch it back on, and then I don't know, wear some sort of like a thick black ribbon around your neck, and never let anyone know why you had it on there, and then maybe they would untie it and your head would just fall off again, and that would be really embarrassing. Well, that was very cool. Have you ever seen anything like this, Madame Delacour?
Let me examine it closer. My eyes are not what they used to be, because one of them was eaten by rats. Oh heavens! I know this one. Yes, I was wondering where I left that. I cannot believe this must have been well before we had met, Madam Eliza. I do apologize to indicate that I was carrying around a weapon that had left part of itself in your neck. But yes, this particular incrustation of skulls seems dashedly familiar. I do believe that was something that I armed myself with at some point in the gosharoo, it must have been in the 1700s. I was doing a sort of naughty pirate curse thing. It was a laugh.
Oh, you.
Yes, I know. I had this big old stoneware tablet full of gold coins that I had engineered to remove from a South American museum of sorts, and I was sort of ensuring that some folks would get one, and then they would be visited by, oh gosh, oh boy, it is a bit embarrassing, but yes, visited by the ghost of the Aztecs. God, that was not okay in retrospect. That was
Rather in poor taste, but
rather in poor taste, rather regrettable. And especially because it was a weapon with a very personal relationship to you, Eliza. Did you want to take it? By the
oh
way, it
no,
is.
it's fine here.
I mean, by rights,
I,
it's yours.
I'm wondering if perhaps you
uh,
inherited it from the person who
uh,
used it on me, because the years don't quite line up. But sorry, Jeff, did you want to say something?
I'm just not sure if I mean, I know you've done museum heists before, but I really don't know if we should do that today. They've got cameras and I know that you don't show up on them, but I do, and I'm already going to look like a weirdo like standing here talking to myself. So if a bunch of stuff goes missing that I walked around and like stood here and talked to myself right next to it, they're really gonna be coming after me, I feel.
Oh wait, do I not show up on cameras?
Oh no, you don't.
Oh,
It's great, wonderful.
That was a very good bit. So I just I would greatly appreciate it if you could refrain from running any heists today. Like you could come back on Thursday or whenever.
I don't know. A heist feels like a bit cartoonish. I think just taking a few items with me on the way out. I don't think that's a heist.
yeah. It doesn't count as a heist if you just pick up a weapon and use it to make your way out. That's just shopping, really.
I suppose.
But we'll come back later if it bothers you so much.
Thank you. I really
more
appreciate that.
mortals and their ethics. Honestly, can you even imagine? Don't worry, you'll be beyond that in good time, Jeff.
What?
Let's see what else they have in here. Let's see what else is available on display.
Sounds good.
So I got a 1, a 4, and a 2. So that means I have found a gaudy piece of clothing that fills me with disgust.
Yes.
So I think as we're walking, you know how some museums they have like the mannequins that have been dressed in sort of period garb, and I walk past one, and it's very like early colonial. It's very like Benjamin Franklin, like high stockings and like neckerchief. And I look at it and I just sort of gag, like, oh God. I have been through many cultural movements as far as fashion, and I have to say, the men from this time period, worst dressed I've ever seen. The buckles on the shoes, it's just, God. It almost made me feel better about killing them. Not that I needed much reason, but it just, if I needed a justification, this was it.
You're taking them out of their buckled misery. Yes, I understand. We've all been there at times. And I dare say, while fashion is not necessarily my forte, I do not doubt for a moment that you were the best dressed vampire in the entirety of the 1600s.
Indeed, I was the belle of mini balls. some of them the guests even went home from.
But not all the guests, surely.
Well, there was that one night I got very tired. So anyway.
I guess I can't really say anything against going after any of those particular types. Even we humans understand that they were in general pretty messed up. But let's see. I think I'm just gonna do another "You Were There." You can tell that Jeff is like hungry for the details of which particular founding father-esque nerds that you were murdering. So he kind of has like a little glint in his eye. He's like, so is anybody I know or anyone who was like about to do something big in history that you ended up taking out?
I mean, about to do something big. I'm not an oracle, Jeff. I am merely a blood mage. But
True. Wait, you're a what?
I mean, Boston was very, very busy around that time, and so
as you modern day mortals might say, Boston was a poppin'.
Yes, indeed.
I've been researching your slang, Jeff.
That was very poggers of you, ma'am.
What?
Yes, the red coats were quite convenient because it would be, it hides the stains quite well, and then you could just sort of prop someone up, and people would think they'd been drinking too much, and you could leave for a while. And then that made it much easier to just sort of move around. There was that one fellow. What was his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. I think it was John Hanson, John Hammer, John.
Oh, Henry. John Adams.
The way he wrote his name, it was so ostentatious and obnoxious.
Hancock, John Hancock, maybe.
Alfred Hitchcock.
No, dear. He's more recent. He's yes.
Men, who can tell?
Yes, but he wrote the most obnoxious signature on everything, and I was just so annoyed by it. I don't even think I ate him. I think I just punted him into the water.
Just punted him into the water.
I mean, everybody was drinking. Everyone was throwing boxes. It was just a little boot to the rear. No one even heard the splash.
Amazing. Oh. Well, I suppose it is fitting that such a gaudy and ostentatious man should die such an ignominious death.
I don't know if he died from that. I think he just got wet and looked like a real dummy.
I didn't check, so.
Oh. Shall we keep moving?
Yes, let's.
Yes, might as well. I think I feel a call to a whole nother section. Indeed, let's get out of the colonial Americas and journey to a ceremonial painting that fills me with a sense of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're going to the Renaissance. The Renaissance. It's a time I know quite a bit about. And obviously this is a ceremonial painting because it's got that guy, Jeepus, in it, who you humans are just so chatty about, aren't you? Now I'm gonna really quickly Google a Renaissance painting.
Yep. I was like, do you know one off the top of your head? I was preparing to be really impressed in vain.
Well, I've limited myself to one that that have Jeepus in it. So
I mean, it could be someone else. You could just be wrong.
That's fair. They all look.
That is true. I didn't read this part, but it does say in the document that the goal is not to discover the truth or even to establish a cohesive narrative. It is very fine for people to be wrong and to lie.
Nice.
I love it. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. It's the friggin' head of John the Baptist.
Yes.
You know, the head of John the Baptist, and there's a lady holding the bowl beneath it to collect all of his head blood. And God, obviously that fills me with a sense of peace. Sort of the, like, oh, God, it's like watching a cooking show, isn't it? You know you're not there to lap up that bowl full of blood, but it feels like you almost could. Heavens. Renaissance was when you got the best head blood, wasn't it?
They don't make saints' blood like they used to. I'll say that.
Oh, they really don't. I mean, this John the Baptist fellow, not a nice guy, I will say that much. Kind of a whiffer, kind of a lout, but you know, louts can be tasty. Yes.
Let's see. So you've implied this a little bit, but were you a villain? Did you drink a lot of saint blood? I mean, if you know how it tastes, like, is it better? I would have thought it would be like holy water. It might burn you or something, but no.
Oh, heavens, no. It's I mean, okay. So there's certainly an element of burning to it if they were truly of a you know, an intense devotion, have faith and whatever. But it's not painful. It's like kind of a spicy hot Doritos situation. Like there's a tang to it. There's an intensity. You sort of have to marshal your resources. But on the other hand, you get your saints who are really truly, you know, they feel nothing. Your anti-popes sort of thing, and that is quite the opposite. Gosh, it was
so it's like a cooler ranch flavor.
Alexander the Sixth, Pope Alexander the Sixth. I do remember that one. Yeah. Oh, that was like, ooh, curiously strong mint flavor all throughout the blood. What I never got the opportunity to do, and this is a big regret, and I'm gonna get to it, is get a right proper saint and a right proper villain, and just sort of mix and mingle and see what that coagulates into. Is that going to be an intense pie? Yes, a sweet and spicy sauce of a blood meal. But if you're asking me, did I consume some or all of John the Baptist? The answer is obviously yes.
The thing is, saints these days, they just don't have that same fervor, that same zeal, you know? Like, you know, it's not like the Crusades when they were all like, you know, ordering, you know, the marches and the soldiers, and those were some saints who really just a delicious burn because they just had so much zeal to them.
Oh yeah, that was beyond a Dorito. That now we're getting into like a fuego taki of a of a sensory experience.
Those are too spicy for me. I can't.
What was it that those young boys were in the video, the ghost pepper?
Oh
yes,
the
supernatural peppers. Oh well, I mean I can't eat them. I wouldn't know, but
wait, you can't eat a pepper, or you can't eat a ghost?
A pepper.
Okay, good.
A ghost is easy.
Yeah.
What does a ghost taste like?
Well, it depends how they died.
They're kind of
goodness.
refreshing. It's a bit of a palate cleanser.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Well, I'll just have to continue my ongoing efforts to avoid canonization, and then you'll never have to see how spicy my blood is.
No, just have to, go after the individual, unique flavor of a person. Just valuable in its own right.
Still a lot recommended, huh? Okay. That's fine. Well, that was a really interesting story about John the Baptist's head.
Now, I can't speak for Estrella, but I will say your blood holds no appeal for me whatsoever. It seems like it would be, quite a mild flavor just based on your style of dress, your diet, your general habits.
Well,
I mean, sometimes you do find yourself with a craving for a plain cake donut, as it were.
I suppose that is a good analogy.
Do you think that I'll get maybe I'll get cooler because I'm hanging out with cool vampires like you, right?
That's so cute. That's so sweet.
No,
it's precious.
Oh, good.
This is why we keep you around, Jeff the Human.
Thank you. And I distract myself from my embarrassment by looking at the little placard for the painting, and I say, well, it's saying here that there's a lot of controversy over what actually ended up happening with the head of John the Baptist. Did it end up in a reliquary or a palace in Jerusalem, or was it buried somewhere? Do you know what ended up happening to it?
Well, yes, obviously. Goodness, who do you think was holding the bowl in that painting?
I mean, I noticed a minor resemblance, but I didn't want to presume.
as well you shouldn't. I know the artist really has ruined the aesthetic that I maintain. I say, pulling like full Buffy game face.
Yeah. Clearly they were. The artist was not able to capture the prominent regal nose that you have going there.
You know what I've heard about these Renaissance artists is the reason why the women that they paint look the way that they do. They use all male models, like very strong young men. You see it all the time in the what's that Michael fellow?
Michael
Keaton.
Yes, Michael Keaton. Just surrounded himself with the burliest of men.
Oh, is that why they ended up with the paintings where there's like a baby, but the baby is just like a really buff, tiny man?
Yes, exactly.
Oh no, babies were just much buffer back in the day. But again, you were asking a question about the actual location of the head of John
right?
Baptist. Yes. Well, God, I do have plans for the afternoon, but if you want to come see it, I do have it in, I guess you could call it my personal reliquary, but I usually do just call it the bone pile at my estate.
Oh my!
Just the skull, though. The rest of it, I was unable to keep a handle of. There's a lot of Baptist body bones out there being, hustled and traded on the black market for saint parts. If you do happen to come across a spare Baptist vertebrate, vertebrae, not a vertebrate. He was a vertebrate. Words. Just give me a little ringle on my cell phone telephone, and I'd be interested in picking that up, and whoever is holding it.
My dear, only the ones that you carry with you are the cellular phones.
What?
Yes.
It's a cell phone if you can put it in your hand, which is made of cells. Eliza.
Oh, is that what that means? Well, all right.
We'll just call them mobile phones. I think that's the easier distinction.
No, those are phones that you hang above a baby, Jeff. But enough of that. Is there any anything else of interest in this this here museum?
Yeah, let's keep on rolling. I think we're over to Eliza next, or do we necessarily go in order?
We don't have to, but I do think it is. If we're going in order, I think you would be next, but we don't have to.
I would be next. Aha. Sure. Oh no, I just described the head, I think. No, I didn't. Yes, I did.
You asked questions
that
about
was
the head.
I asked questions
question.
about the head.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Okay.
It's my head. It's at my house.
Yes, you have it. Okay. Let me roll my dice again then. Boom. 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 Okay. I got 6, 4, 2. So that gets me a simple clothing that fills me with disgust.
Interesting today, but
yeah.
To be fair, simple clothing should fill anyone with disgust. We dress well.
Indeed.
Yeah. So let's say that this is maybe there are some simple there's a simple pair of sandals that is they're like super ancient and deteriorated, and there is no known provenance for them. They are sort of like shuffled off to the side of the display cases, sort of over in a corner. And it's speculated in the little plaque there that someone wore these on like a great exodus, going from somewhere to somewhere else. But it's not known where they were going from or where they were going to. But the sandals are worn and deteriorated in a way that indicates they were taken on a long journey. And for some reason, Jeff is just filled with sort of repulsion. He can kind of imagine the like group of people going together and then gradually just sort of getting smaller and smaller as they are winnowed down by whatever is pursuing them, or is whatever they're running from, or the conditions they're going through. So he just has kind of like a sad but also kind of like, oh, that must have been a really horrible look on his face.
And is there any indication of how old these sandals are?
I'm gonna say
century?
They're like probably more than 1,000 years old.
Oh heavens!
Because of the the way that they're woven together or whatever is the estimate. But it says like 500 to 2,000 years old. Apparently, they were not able to carbon date them or anything.
Well, carbon wasn't invented until the 1420s. As we all know.
Of course.
Oh, there is some important context you're missing, though.
Ooh.
Oh, gosh, I should be used at this point to you mortals and your plaquas being embarrassingly light on the details, but even I, a relative neophyte to the fashion world, recognize a pair of quality Atlantean sandals. Goodness. Should write a letter, or just perhaps etch a note into the placard itself. Let me just grow out one of my nails to scratching length and just start amending, shall I?
But did you say Atlantean sandals? Like
Atlantean sandals, yes.
the lost
Atlantis?
continent of Atlantis? Did you know
You've lost it?
Yeah, you know it's gone, right? No, it's downright mythical.
What?
The people don't even agree on where it was.
I feel like I was just there yesterday.
Good. I have not visited my cousin Eric there, but well, I hope he is doing well.
You vampires really have a lot of E names.
Have you
Yes.
have you lost any other ones? Have you lost the Oceania?
No, I think that's still there. What other lost continents do we have?
Okay, I'm just going to name continents, and you yell at me if I find one that you've lost. Australia.
Okay. Got it.
Asia.
Got it.
Therapin.
What is that?
Torquell.
No.
North America.
Yeah.
West America. South America.
We only went to two of those.
Africa.
Yep.
Antarctica.
Yep.
And Antarctica.
Excuse me?
Atlantis.
Yeah, that one we already lost.
And that's it. That's all the continents that there are.
Oh. Wow. So yeah, okay, we're missing a bunch of continents then.
How does one misplace a continent? It makes no sense to me.
Global warming, I guess. It seems like that's the big thing that humans have accomplished in the last couple of 100 years. So probably mostly that.
I always said we shouldn't have let them have that industrial revolution.
You said it. Yeah, I know. I regret it too. It was an error in judgment, and I apologize for my part in allowing the coal to be made in the first place.
This is a little bit of a side note, but was Ned Ludd, the founder of the Luddites, the weaver from Anstey near Leicester, a vampire?
No, he was a Frankenstein. Sort of a risen scientific amalgamation body man.
Oh, I guess that explains why they were so successful at smashing all those textile machines.
Oh yeah, Ludd smash.
Superhuman strength. My goodness.
I think I remember Ned. Ned was a very nice fellow. He was surprisingly fun at parties for, a reanimated corpse.
Really, anywhere that there wasn't fire, he was a hoot.
Now, I will say, I do wish that they would give proper credit where credit is due, because they weren't fleeing from a mysterious plague. That wasn't what was picking them off one by one. They were fleeing from us. Well, I mean, not us. It was before we met, but yeah, it just
you
few of us,
the vampires specifically, or just a couple of you.
It was me. It was Elaine. It was Esther. It was who else?
Was Enrique
Edwin.
there?
Enrique was there.
Oh.
But yes, so we thought it would be a fun little game to just sort of see like how long we could just sort of keep them going before they just like laid down and gave up. Turns out it's a long time.
Wow.
It is a delight to predate a pursuit predator, isn't it? To really
Yes.
just show them at their own game.
Yeah, it's like, oh, these deer and there's elk. They don't have the endurance that we do, but meanwhile, you still have to eat and sleep. It's adorable.
Oh, yeah, that is really kind of a blunder on our part, huh? Needing to eat and sleep. And I suppose that you would then be, only chasing them at the night, and they're trying to get away, and then they have to sleep during the day because they're exhausted. That does sound pretty nightmarish. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good sport. It was good fun. Um,
What did they do to incur this happening to them? The Atlanteans, were they sucky, or was like you just sort of felt like it?
what do you mean incur?
Why pick them and not someone else?
Oh, I suppose convenience more than anything. They were just
Yeah,
sort of
I'm
there.
sorry if we weren't clear. They were mortals, humans. Like,
Yeah, I you have that David Attenborough fellow. He does that the Charming Nature series. So when a herd of lions sees a herd of antelope or whatever it is that lions eat, they don't stop and think, has this particular antelope does anything to deserve it? It's just, well, found dinner.
Right. Yep. I mean, that is how that works. That's very true. Uh but some antelopes are cool, if you think about it. Like more than the other ones, like better conversationalists, for example. Uh
I don't know that I've ever had a conversation with an antelope. I'll have to take your word for it.
yeah, you should do that. But I am curious to know. This would actually be really useful for our historians to know more about Atlantis. Did you notice anything interesting while you were there? Like what was their architecture like? What was their culture like?
Let's see. I mean, I suppose the whole submersible thing that was quite interesting. That was quite fun. Um, you know, um, the skyscrapers were, I don't know, I thought they were a bit tacky, flying buildings. What are you trying to prove, really?
Uh-huh.
I mean, the streets were paved with literal gold, which was, frankly,
So
just
much.
so very much. Oh God, immortal, the lot of them, until we
Well,
got there.
immortal, you know.
Yes. Oh gosh, yes. No crime though, so that left a big opening for.
That's true. That was an interesting thing about them.
Wow,
How did
that's
you lose that? How did
Yeah.
well, we're not really sure either, but I suppose we could look around. There might even be more ancient Atlantean artifacts in this uncatalogued section.
Yeah, I suppose let's check and see. Okay, 822. So that is, oh, 8 is fun. 8 is choose 2 adjectives, so I get to choose.
Ooh.
Um, so I'm going to a mysterious occult piece of jewelry that once again fills me with disgust. Um, so I think we come across this bracelet that has like all of these like runes and letters just like inscribed around it. It's just like a solid gold bracelet. It's very pretty. It's very, you know, it's got like a couple of like very small gems just going around it. Nothing super fancy. Um, and the plaque mentions that the archaeologists believe that it was used for like ritual purposes. And as I come over to it, I go, "All right, fine. You want to see some Atlantean bullshit? Here we go." So, they were magic. I mentioned they were magic, right?
I mean, I sort
I
of
mean, it
assumed
stands
that
to
from the
reason.
flying buildings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or it's not correct to say that they were magic. They were practitioners of magic, But so this bracelet is a very annoying little thing because this is sort of a personal safety device. And when you wear it, your injuries just sort of heal themselves over time. Um, Now, what's annoying is you would like cut them and cut them and cut them, but the wounds would close before any decent blood came out.
Oh.
And it's just, they're very hard to remove once they've got them on. Um, you know, you, really all you could do was try to cut the hand off, but they're squirming and moving. And anyway, these things were just the bane of my existence for the longest time. Um, but I wonder if this one still works.
That is, I might
Jeff,
be.
smash your hand through the glass and put it on, and if it works, it will heal your hand.
That is true. I was thinking we might revisit that whole no museum heists rule. Now that I know that there is literally magic bracelets.
It's not
here.
a heist; it's a try-on, Jeffrey.
The thing is that I believe one, I just have weak human like twig arms. So I don't think I could really the glass would break me instead of the other way around. I am not puissant and mighty as you are, unfortunately. So
you're telling us you're not very equipped to fight back against even the least aggression.
I can't lie to you. That's pretty much accurate. Yeah.
Just pat Jeff on the head.
I mean, if even an Atlantean with like a magical regeneration ring couldn't win against you, like what hope do I have, right?
Oh, none whatsoever. But
not that I would want to.
That's not why we keep you around.
Although it is fun to be reminded.
I'm glad it's fun for you too.
I mean, if all you needed to start thinking about robbing museums was to know about magic, I mean, we've been looking at magic the entire time.
Yeah,
virtually everything in here is at least a little bit magic.
Okay.
Well, not the clothes. Those were just
not the clothes. No, those are
those were just
except for the bracelet, which is indeed a frustrating sort of magic.
Well, I guess yeah. Just keep it in mind, since I can't read auras or whatever it is that you do. Additionally, you can let me know if something's magic, because I can't perceive that. That'll be a great little handy thing for the rest of our tour.
So when you say you can't perceive it, like what do you see when you look at the bracelet?
Just looks like a sort of round bracelet about yay far around. It's got some runes or letters or something etched into it. Doesn't look like any language that I know. It's not glowing or anything, just sort of sitting there.
Not glowing.
So you can't see it channeling the brilliant radiance of a distant dying star.
Not unless it's doing it very subtly.
Huh,
and do you hear the very hum of the universe's fibers as you grow closer to it? Don't mix it up with the air conditioner, Jeff. I've done that sometimes.
They said they sound similar. I only hear the air conditioner, I think. What does the universe hum sound like? Is it just like an air conditioner? Is it like there are two air conditioners in here?
It's a little pitchier.
Yeah. It has the remarkable capacity to always be a little bit more high-pitched than whatever else you're trying to listen to, whatever that may be. It's
that's fun.
That's the way the universe works.
Obviously. Well, I mean, even from what I know about the ancient Atlanteans, which isn't much, it seems like that shouldn't be possible. That they would have technology or magic that is linked to ancient dying stars, because they were an Earth civilization from Earth. How did they get to dying stars?
In their spaceships, Jeffrey. Goodness. Come, just like, I understand that you weren't there, but it's not an excuse for not thinking about it for half a second.
And you did mention the flying buildings, so like they just sort of could keep flying. Were the buildings the spaceships, or?
But no, they were buildings. They were
domiciles.
You can't Is your car a spaceship?
No. I wish it was. Well, what were the spaceships like?
Tacky. Jeffrey, I feel that you should get this by now. They were all gilt-edged and rune-encrusted and just Atlantean in every embarrassing little try-hard detail.
Oh boy. Well, that does sound pretty gaudy, yeah. And I know that you two are very much more refined and classy. You wouldn't hold with that. Have you been to space?
Never saw a need.
Too much communism out there.
That's what I've heard. It's the only place you can be free from capitalism. Well,
I did run roughshod throughout one of the Atlantean spaceships, though. It was, though, this space, we never got further than the moon. Oh, God. Is Moonbase Atlantis still around, or has that one been lost also?
That's a good question.
Yeah, we don't know anything about any Atlantean moon bases.
Oh, my cousin Evan is up there. God, no wonder I haven't heard from him.
We don't really got a lot on the moon. There's just a flag and a little thing. They made a nice stone plinth, I think, that says they came in peace for all mankind.
A plinth?
Or a
flag and a plinth?
Stone.
That's
all
not
a lot.
Did on the moon?
Took some rocks.
Did you?
We got rocks, Jeff, on Earth.
We have rocks at home.
Did anyone look inside?
In the moon?
Did anyone check to see if anyone was still there inside?
Did anyone call out Evan's name just in case there was an Evan?
I mean, I haven't watched like all of the old tapes or anything, but I don't think they did. They didn't have like the drilling equipment or whatever you would need. Yeah, that seems rough.
Okay, after this, you wanted to go get a coffee, and then after that, let's go to the moon and just check in, okay?
Okay. Quick thing though, I'm not able to breathe in space or on the moon. They both don't have like an atmosphere, and I gotta do that.
It's okay. I'm not worried about it. Shall we?
Maybe I can wear the Atlantean bracelet, and I'll just like regenerate.
Do you want me to just grab it real
exploding? Quick? We can get it on the way out. I think we'll be better.
Yeah. Okay. We'll loop around.
Okay. Cool. That's wild. So were you a villain I mean, not like objectively, of course, but in the eyes of the Atlanteans, did they like tell stories about you or have legends of your deeds, either of you?
I mean, there was that cult. Now, I didn't personally participate, but they did have quite a few paintings of me on display. So I
Oh,
suppose, yeah, I suppose they must have revered me as some kind of dark god, which just the cutest little thing.
I mean,
Um,
I can see why. You're very photogenic or paintgenic. There's not really a word for that, huh?
you tried. I just, yeah, I suppose in your, you know, sense of morality, I would come across as a villain, but in my mind, I am just following the natural order of things, so I don't see it that way personally.
Mm-hmm. Sort of like a cat playing with a mouse.
Sure. Now, whatever did happen to that cult? I haven't seen them in a while. Do you have to take care of a cult? Do you have to like, water
Water
them or?
them?
I guess. I mean, probably. I think usually cults that don't have like a charismatic leader or a pretty significant impetus to keep going tend to like splinter off into little variations of themselves or
Hmm.
maybe just leave. Where were they based? Were they like in a specific location, or was it like a widespread sort of thing?
Uh, I believe they were. It was one of those little European countries. They change their name so often, I don't even remember anymore. But
That's fair.
uh,
Irkutsk.
Fraps?
I think it was one of the Vanias. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yes. Um, anyway, they did just keep like sending people to me, and it was a very nice arrangement for a while. So I just figured it'd be good to keep them around for a bit. But
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it was nice while it lasted. I just forgot to check in on them, so.
I
It's
suppose that
probably for the
happens.
best. If you let those things develop too much, they mutate into a government, and that's just a whole headache that you don't need to deal with.
I didn't even think of that.
Goodness. Well, I'm glad you got to have sort of a little, you know, St. George and the Dragon situation going for a while there. That sounds pretty nice for you. Oh, are dragons real, by the way?
What, dragons? Don't be silly.
I, just checking.
Why would dragons be? Come on now, let's keep
They're
going.
just
That
like
doesn't even
a
make like
metaphor.
physical sense with the laws of the universe.
They violate
Can't
the
be
square
that
cube
big and
law.
fly.
Not the
How's a lizard?
Atlantean
How is a
Phoenix.
lizard going to breathe flame? Explain that to me in biological terms.
Oh, I always thought that they would, I don't know, maybe they would chew up like a rock, like limestone, sort of grind it in their gullet until it started releasing like a gas, and then they'd have maybe like a little spark igniter, like organ at the back of their throat that they could use to like light it up.
Oh, Jeff, I love you the way a mother loves her dullest and ugliest child. Please stop talking.
Okay, it's fair.
Yeah.
Shall we visit another exhibit?
Yes, that's.
Yes, let's. Uh, and I just went, right? No.
That was my role.
You just went. Cool.
I guess it is back around to me. And this
Back to
is
you.
going to be number 7, and by the rules of the game, we visit 8 exhibits.
Yes.
And what we are finding ourselves at is a 2-6 4. So that is a ceremonial human remains that do fill me with a sense of melancholy. Ceremonial human remains.
Yeah.
Is that anything that's not a mummy? Give me a sec. I guess it could be more saint pieces.
Right.
Could
We do
be
have a history with
preserved
those.
skulls, knuckle bones.
Yes, it is indeed some knuckle bones. Yeah. So I lead us away from all of this Atlantean nonsense. But we're still in a section devoted to reasonably prehistoric or of uncertain provenance. And what I find is a table of oracular tools. That this one was found in Europe some ancient time ago, and it is a human hand skeleton, finger bones, you might call them, that have been carved into sort of flattened with runes, differing runes on each side. And there is an accompanying placard that suggests that these were used by sort of a pre-Celtic civilization to do augury, to do divination, throw the bones into the air and see how they land, and read the future out of them. And I sort of stop by and I look down on them and a heavy sigh. Oh gosh, it has been a minute since I have seen a proper set of finger bones. Eliza, have you seen a proper set of finger bones in the last 500 years?
As I've said, I was never much of an oracle. They weren't my thing, but yeah, no, like properly cleaned and cut, not in a long time.
Well, they are absolutely a quality set. One of the few oracular tools, Jeff, that does actually work.
Oh.
Yes. I don't know if these were cast properly, but one can read a simple future just in the display that has been set up.
Oh wow! Like they sort of accidentally set it up in a way that's interpretable.
Yes, it's oh 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 goodness, oh my. Oh boy. You are you doing much in, let's say, 1 month, 3 days?
I didn't have any plans.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Good. Don't make big plans, and don't make any plans for after that.
Okay. Maybe we should plan our moon trip around then. We could all go to space.
Oh no, we're gonna want to get the moon done before that. Oh.
Okay. Cool.
You know what they say, visit the moon while it's still there.
People after that will be asking what happened to the moon.
That's a different game, Alex.
We'll just segue into that one. Okay. So I am gonna ask you about this hand. I'll say, well, I mean, you know, you have this opinion about this hand, but that's only one side of the story, because you might not know this, but a lot of these museum pedestals are actually mounted on like a lazy Susan. So I'm just gonna whoop, and I rotate the case around so that the hand is now turned around this way. And I think on that side, I'm revealing a detail about the past that paints the story in a new light, and there is just like a carving of like a smiling dog on the palm of the hand. Just a really content looking crude carved dog. So that's good, right?
Oh God, the smiling dog. Oh,
Is it not
sorry.
good?
Just a little. Whew, I just need a moment. You see a thing like that, and it can be a bit of a concern.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the smiling dog is a harbinger of all the finest dooms that have come to pass.
I
Um,
did not know that.
yeah, no, smiling dog. Like any disaster that you can imagine was presaged by the smiling dog, assuming it was big, bloody, and grotesque enough.
So like did one show up like in Atlantis before you got there, Eliza?
I do think I remember someone mentioning something. I thought they meant an actual dog. See, that explains a lot because I told them dogs don't actually smile. It's a threat display that humans have sort of anthropomorphized to sort of project their
Oh,
own emotions onto animals.
well, that's
Um,
sad.
did you not know about the threat display? I'm so sorry.
I'm
Um,
just gonna pretend I didn't know that. This is like those articles that keep coming about your cats don't really love you.
oh, they do. That's your cats do love you,
Oh,
but
thank goodness.
they don't smile. That's just not in their repertoire.
Right.
Your cats love you just like we love you, Jeff.
Okay.
Just like it.
She kept trying to tell me not that kind of smiling dog. I wasn't listening. I was, listen, who comes to a party and only talks about the dog? It's just, but maybe I should have listened.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I guess in that case, like you were the one doing the dooming instead of the doomee. So, like, what do you care, right?
Yeah, I suppose that's one way to look at it.
Well, I'm just gonna turn that back around. That dog is now creeping me out. Yeah. So let's. But I, my not to say that my bullshit detector is going off or anything, but it seems like if something that bad is going to happen in like a month, shouldn't you be more concerned?
Showing concern is not really in my nature, Jeff.
That's fair.
I am cool like cucumber. But also, there is a definite advantage in knowing that you've already died the once, and it's not going to happen again. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's just as vampires, we live through so many human catastrophes. The sacking of Rome, Alexandria, um, you know, what was that one in what was that one with all the heads on spikes? No, we did that one. I'm sorry.
that was Spiky Head Tuesday. That was just a good
But
time.
we survive so many disasters. We just have a different sort of sense of scale. But
how many apocalypses have we endured? Just you and I, Eliza.
at least 6. But I can see that this is clearly bothering you. Why don't we try and get a fresh reading?
That sounds great. That sounds super great.
And over to the display case, and I just smash it like with my fist. Not to break it, but I hit it so hard that all of the bones like bounce.
You're jumbling it like a boggle.
Yes, exactly. And so all of the bones like bounce and rearrange themselves. And I say, Estrella, would you be able to read anything new from that?
Oh yes, of course. I'm quite well versed in the finger bones. Some of those bones are mine. Let's see now. Okay, so just for the record, I'm definitely going to be looking into your particular future, Jeff. I assume this is what you are looking for. Any concerns that you want me to investigate first? You know, life, love, money that you might find in the next month and day.
I was gonna go with like getting some advice on if I should look into becoming a vampire. Because I did fill out that form on your mailing list, and I know you were waiting to get back to me. So I just thought I would, check in because it's been a couple of years. See like where I was at in the process, if there's a line or anything, just since it seems like things are getting a little intense.
And you're going to find out via fortune telling. Okay, very
I
good.
mean, I figured it was the most polite way to bring it up.
And Estrella sort of gazes upon the finger bones, and sort of strokes her pointy chin and taps on her pointy teeth. Pulls on her pointy ears as she's thinking. So I will say that there are, let us say, less than positive portents in what we are seeing here. I can get the vision of a future where you engage in a portion of the process of a vampiric transformation. But it does seem that, listen, Jeff, this is not me saying this. This is the bones saying this. You understand, right?
Right.
So when I say as much will to survive as a wet sack, this is me quoting the bones.
Ooh.
When I use a phrase like weak-blooded coward in a stupid jacket, this is me reading the bones.
It's the bones talking.
Yeah.
The ancient pre-Celtic bones knew about my jacket. Yep.
When I say that before we came here, Eliza and I decided that we were toying with you and were going to eat your blood before we got to coffee. Well, that's just the bones saying it. That's not me saying it.
Definitely the bones.
So
they really fit a lot onto
we're
there.
coming out as a maybe on this one.
Okay.
Ask
cool.
again later.
Maybe I can take. And I think asking again is a great. We can try like the rotating thing again. Because it's definitely not going to get a smiling dog this time, right? Like that would be.
Of course
too weird.
Not. Go give it a rotate, friend.
No, I'm good. I'm upset. I'm super fine with that whole thing. Why don't we just hit up the gift shop on our way out? Maybe pick me up that the bracelet like we were talking about earlier.
Well, I think we have one last exhibit to visit.
And I do see, yes, there's this large it says here, most important exhibit in the museum, don't miss. But it's hidden under a beautiful black velvet cloth.
Now, while we make our way to the exhibit, Jeff, I just want to say, and listen, again, I tell you this with love. How satisfied are you with your current form? Now, listen, there's no judgment from me. If this is, however you are happy, that is good for you. Are you happy with the jacket and the situation? And
honestly, now that I've heard about it from the bones, I could lose the jacket. I could really take or leave the jacket.
So you just do what bones tell you to do? Is that what we're hearing, Jeff? So you're agreed the bones know more than you do.
I mean, that seems pretty likely. I didn't even know that the smiling dog existed. So, like, they demonstrably know more than I do.
Well, listen, the only reason that I ask is because let's say that we do turn you into a vampire. This how you are at this moment, that's you forever. There's not really much changing.
Right.
Well, it's possible that you could end up, more batty, but like other than that, like this is how I looked in 1237. You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
just like
You made a great choice. You really picked a good time.
thank you. Now I, didn't really have much warning. I was just very lucky that I happened to be beautiful and fit and good looking. Now, these days, because we like to go into the process with a bit more open communication, a bit more consent, you sort of
Very
have
cool.
time to, get the look that you want, just generally speaking. Again, this is not coming from a place of judgment. This is just coming from open, honest communication. Just ensure that you are happy with the way that you are before we sort of lock you into that forever.
Right. That totally makes sense. I was even thinking of changing up my look. Like I could get like driving gloves. Those cool, like the
Well,
fingerless
no. You could
gloves.
change. You could change your clothes. You can change your gloves. It was
It's
just
more like,
After
do you
you're
want to
okay.
invest in an ab, for instance, or two?
Oh, I mean, if I only have a month to get, like, I did get the Ring Fit on my Nintendo Switch. So I've been meaning to get that set up, but like you have to calibrate it, and it was the thing was not the motion sensor was not like reading it.
you
So
have to
I
stop
have
with
not
these
done
made
that
up
yet.
words.
It's a different type of magic bracelet that helps you remember to exercise, but mine is broken is the thing.
I see.
So I'm just a little worried about what's gonna happen with the moon in my like self development long term
Oh,
plan.
you should
You
not
know,
worry about that. It's just gonna bring you
shouldn't,
pain. Yeah, no.
but it sounded really important.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You know what? Just looked at the bones again. You'll be fine. They said you'll be fine. I was misreading them.
And I mean,
Uh-huh.
listen. If your cousin was Eric, Edward, which one was your cousin?
Evan?
Evan. Listen, Evan's waited this long. What's another couple of years at this point?
Right, even a couple decades, are as nothing to you, I suspect.
I mean, decades. It's a lot fashion-wise can change in a couple of decades. You really have to
Sure,
you
the
have to
fashion,
stay
yeah.
current.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, you know what? We'll make sure that you don't like get flattened by a meteor or hit by a vehicle in the
Uh-huh.
next month, and then after that, we'll revisit things.
Oh, that would be super. That would be super great. Thank you so much for your kind consideration.
Just pats Jeff on the head again.
All I ask.
Now, what was the most important exhibit in the museum, you said? What is this
Yeah.
situation?
Oh yeah, it is my turn. Let's see. Yeah, it's funny that it has this giant black velvet covering over it, because what is it, does every single person who goes by have to take it off? Like, is that part of the sensory experience? Because it just looks to me to be some sort of a gaudy human remains that fills me with melancholy. Cause it, oh boy, this is very unusual. And I reach up and I pull off the velvet, which down to the ground in a beautiful silken puddle. and we see a full human skeleton that is caught in a posture of cringing fear, hands raised as though to ward itself from some horrifying fate. Its jaw is distended in a horrible scream that seems to stretch beyond how a human jaw should reach. The whole thing is gilded in shining perfect gold covering every bone, and a plaque at the bottom simply reads Jeff. And he says, that's weird. It's spelled the same. You remember how I was telling you it's Jeff, like GEOFF?
Yeah,
and
spelled the wrong way.
Yeah, they get it wrong at Starbucks. So that's funny coincidence.
Well, surely the last name is different.
Yes, it does. Now that I'm able to tear my gaze further downward, it does say Jeff Vanderbilt on this, and my last name is actually it's also Vanderbilt, but with an E on the end, and the E is silent. So
hang on a sec. I sort of, with my foot, just moved the cloth to the side. There it is.
I really should have moved that whole cloth, huh? That's on me for not doing that. Well, this is fun. Why don't you all give me some more of your cool vamp facts about this thing? Do you know like a cool fact?
Oh, not that old thing. Goodness gracious. Oh, I haven't seen that in centuries. Oh my gosh. Eliza, do you remember when those time holes were opening up?
That was honestly just, it was so hard to navigate. It was just such a pain.
Just screaming corpses thrown through time and space from parts unknown and times unknown. Yes, if I recall correctly, and gosh, I will say that one skeleton does look a lot like another, although this one does have very identifiable dental records that you can quite clearly make out in the screaming. Oh, yes, 2 fillings on a back molar. I do recall this one just flying out of a time hole as I was on the hunt. Landing on the fella who I was chasing down through the woods. It was screaming and on fire. The fella was screaming and shortly on fire. My meal was ruined. And by the time I was able to reach it, the ash had consumed the lot of them.
Goodness.
Yes.
Let's read a little bit more about this figure. Researchers aren't sure who the figure is, except that apparently it did have apparently it was discovered with its own name in its possessions, and that's how they got the name of it. It seems that the locals, when they found it, seemed to believe it was some sort of portent from God because of the whole falling from the sky and the flame.
Time holes, flames.
So yeah, they, had it gilded as sort of a religious ceremony. That was their whole thing, and it was apparently kept on display for a very long time. How long ago did you say that this happened?
Oh gosh, this must have been almost a millennium at this point.
Fascinating. Yes, apparently this was only very recently discovered in some abandoned temple.
And that was my abandoned temple. You're not the
Oh.
only one who gets a cult springing up around you. And mine had a skeleton.
That's very cool. Super cool.
Well, you know, I wouldn't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people fall down from the sky, screaming and on fire, and look at me and say, Estrella, it's me, Jeff Vanderbilt, your friend. You warned me. You warned me. Why didn't you tell me what would happen?
Yeah,
If
Jeff
I had
Vanderbilt,
a nickel for every time.
Jeff Vanderbilt is a very old name. I'm sure it's fine.
That is, yeah. There was another Jeff Vanderbilt in my Taekwondo class when I was a kid. So
It was probably him. Did you take your Taekwondo class about 1,000 years ago?
no, that was like 12 years ago.
May have been his dad or something.
Yeah, you never. It's super common. So
Anyway, let's grab you that bracelet. We'll avoid all the cars. We'll check out the inside of the moon. Find your cousin. Have I forgotten anything?
Coffee. We're going to the cafe.
Coffee. Yes.
And I'm going to eat me a barista.
Oh, well, I hope they spell my name right.
Coffee. Listen, you got to be more assertive about that. They never get my name wrong. Not that I drink the drinks; it's just to keep up appearances. But
right. Well, hey, it's been a great time with you at the museum. I feel like I learned a lot, maybe too much, but let's cue the music for the heist, right?
Listen, when you say heist, it makes it sound like we are on a children's cartoon. Eliza just walks up and like smashes her fist through the glass and picks up the bracelet. We are just grabbing a couple of little souvenirs on our way out. It's not that dramatic.
I'm taking the finger
We're just grabbing some souvenirs, everybody. It's cool. So this is a sanctioned vampire just a nice procurement going on. Nothing to see here. Bye-bye.
And that sounds like a great time to go into our little epilogue.
Yay.
Which, Alex, this was your idea, so thank you for the suggestion. Let's talk about how our characters feel after leaving the museum and where things go from here.
All right. Boy, Jeff's feelings are complex. It's a nice spicy cocktail of fear, terror, existential dread, a tiny sharp sliver of hope that's still worming its way around in his guts of is there some way this is gonna turn out? Maybe.
No.
Oh, but one can't help but feel honored and awed to be graced with the presence of such magnificent beings and to learn fascinating truths about the world, some of which you definitely should never have learned. So at least he's got that.
Yeah, I have to say, discovering your own gilded remains was not the twist I was expecting to end on, but that was very,
It was a very good twist.
Thank you. That was all the dice.
Yeah, I think Eliza is thinking they've got whole continents they don't know what happened. They don't know about the inside of the moon. I should really read the news or something. I should really subscribe to the New Yorker or something. I've got to get up to date on all these current events. There's got to be an article about Atlantis going missing because that must have been a recent development.
Right.
So Eliza is just sort of mentally thinking Wow, I knew I haven't been as involved in sort of worldly affairs. I've been sort of just doing my own sort of hedonistic blood ritual thing, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe I should be more informed.
Amazing.
I think Estrella is coming out of this with a deep, fulfilled nostalgia.
Mm.
Like okay, like the magic of the world. No one's doing it proper anymore, and that's just the way it is. But it is so great to go back and remember the good times.
Yeah.
Remember the delicious heads that you've eaten. Remember that time Jeff Skeleton fell on you from the future. Just like okay, things are different now, but it feels good to remember how it used to be, to remember the good times.
Oh, that's
That's
wonderful.
wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for playing Life Behind Glass. I had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing it to us.
Oh, that was so fun. I have to
That
say,
was
I
super
really
cool.
liked while we're decompressing and talking about our own feelings. Oh, how interested are you in playtest feedback? Is there any format you'd want that in? Like, should we talk about that now? We could send you an email. We could also just never speak of it and let you draw your own conclusions.
If you have any first impressions that you are thinking of, I would love to hear them.
My first impression is that it is. First of all, I had a fabulous time. I had a lot of fun. But my first critical impression is that it is a little bit difficult to have the entirety of human history before you and say, okay, now pick a thing. I don't know if there is an easy way to say, hey, roll a die and it'll say Renaissance era or something like that to give you kind
Mm-hmm.
of an opening vector, or just a pre starting talk about what is the exhibit you're going into. But that first moment of, I know that I'm looking at a personal effect, but it could be from anyone, it was a little
Mm-hmm.
bit
Mm-hmm.
it
Daunting?
was a bit.
That is fair because I feel like the person who goes first does have like a little more of a burden.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could definitely be interesting. I liked the because it really felt we had a nice sense of continuity. It was like, here's the exhibit that we're in the museum, and that sort of let us contextualize. Okay, here's the type of things we'll find here, then we can move on to another exhibit. It felt very museum-y.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see something about, oh, let's do a little world building about what are the exhibits at the museum before you actually start playing. Could be kind of fun, so that you could then get, oh, someone's really interested in this, someone's really interested in that. I did like the surprises that we came up with as we went, but if somebody had said, "Oh, here's the Atlantean wing of the museum," then you're good to go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Although I feel like if we had a distinct if we were been like these are from the Holy Roman Empire, I don't think we ever would have gone to Atlantis.
right? Yeah,
Fair.
yeah.
So
So
I
it's
think
like, huh?
it might be a good idea to just have collectively throw out a couple of things at the beginning, like a couple of
Yeah,
exhibits to
but
sort
you
of
don't want to nail
give you a
everything
starting
down.
point.
What is the exhibit you're excited to see here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be fun. The interesting thing that I noticed just from my first impression of reading it over, and I now don't know why I thought this, but I was surprised when we started talking about the history of Earth, like our history. I was like, oh, we're doing it on Earth. Okay. Because I was just assuming we were going to be world building the entire time. And it would be like, oh, yes, this is the spear of the Duke of Antilles. And they were occupied by the Northumbrians. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Which
Yeah.
I guess you could. There's
Yeah,
nothing
I
in
mean,
the
there's
rules that
nothing
says one way
stopping
or the other.
you from doing that.
I mean, we did
Yeah,
start making up bullshit about Atlantis, but
that
We
was really
did.
fun.
But what do you mean making up?
You don't.
Sorry, remembering important true facts about.
Did you have any impressions on how was it playing it compared to how it was going in your head?
I think it went about the way I was expecting. I think, like, I was sort of expecting in the beginning, it was like sort of a little tough to get going to sort of like get into the headspace. But I think once we got to like the third roll or so, I think we all sort of figured out what our characters were and what our dynamic was without really having to
Yeah.
spell it out, which I thought was like, I like that feeling of sort of like discovering who we are and why we're here. And I think it worked out well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like you said, I would just probably like maybe not make it a roll, but just sort of as a group discuss like what exhibit you want to start in or,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Yeah, and you can sort of move on. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's cool. Yeah. I think another feedback thing I was wondering about the tables when we were talking earlier, and I was like, wonder if I would want, is 4 going to be enough for the emotion table, or would I want a couple more options? And I was like, yeah, I think out of the tables, that one, I was like, I could use just a couple more. We ended up rolling a lot of. We never rolled an awe, which is hilarious, though.
Yeah, that was like in 8 rolls, we didn't get a single one on the D4, which I think
Yeah,
statistically is improbable.
right. If there's one thing that we have found in our playtesting of our various games, it's that having something that happens on one number on a die, and you're like, that'll happen about as often as it statistically should, and then you're like, okay, we
No.
should plan for what happens if that never happens, because we'd have several times where we're like, oh, on a 6, this happens. That'll we'll have it pretty rare, but it'll happen, and it just never happens.
Yeah. I will say, so the advantage of having 3 different dice is that you can roll all 3 dice at once and know which is which.
Mm-hmm. That was
But
nice.
I'm not sure if that time save is necessarily worth it. I think having more options would still make the game a little bit more interesting. You get a little bit more variability.
Mm-hmm. You did do a really good job with what was on the tables as they exist, though. I definitely am like, yep, none of those are duds.
Yeah, I was glad I got the choose 2. I'm glad that one came up because
Mm-hmm.
I think I wanted to have a little freebie in there, like a little free space, so you could sort of
Yeah.
like pick the direction of like where you wanted to guide things. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And that was perfect when it came up too, because we had just started talking about Atlantis, and you were like, "Oh, let me show you an Atlantean thing." It's a cult, and was it a cult and ceremonial?
It was
Or a cult and...
mysterious and occult.
mysterious and a cult. That was really cool. Oh, that was super fun.
That was super fun.
Are dragons real? No.
No. What?
Yeah, and a spark organ at the back of their throat. What is that? Are we in fairy
What's
tales?
the discussion of spaceships from Atlantis?
Yeah, that's specifically how the attempt to scientifically describe how dragons works in Flight of Dragons, the animated movie from the 80s, which is an old favorite of mine. I did not just come up with that off the top of my head.
I will say, as a child, I was obsessed with dragons. I had this book called Dragonology, if you are familiar.
Oh
Yes.
God, yeah.
So I know all of the theories and all of the lore about how dragons breathe fire. Like I know like the methane theory, like the flint tooth. Like I so I wanted to hear which one you were gonna go with.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. Let's see. How else? Yeah, it was interesting. We ended up with, uh a very fun vibe between our characters, which I absolutely loved. And I was really hoping, I was like looking at oh, you just sort of start out with a couple things about your characters and you sort of build them as you go. And I was like, that seems awesome. I think that's going to be really fun and like really interesting to sort of organically discover more about our characters as we go and sort of be building them as we play. And then it worked perfectly. That was awesome.
Yeah, I definitely had a great time. It's very fun to bully Jeff.
Fun to
Poor
be
Jeff.
bullied.
Yeah. Because I think having like 2 vampires and 1 human, it just fell into that like what we do in the shadows like dynamic of like, oh, we're all so great and lofty, and here's our human pet, and it's like. Whereas I think if it had been the numbers had been the other way, it would have been like very different. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how it goes, and I think I strongly suspect that you're right that having 2 or 4, like 4 would be just primo because you'd have like the
I
2
would
different
love to
humans,
try
and the 2
this
different
again with
vampires.
4. That would be pretty rad.
Oh, Jeff. Oh man. As soon as you said the elbows thing, I was like, this guy sucks. Or at least like he's that type of guy.
But like he's someone who like just sucks a little. He's not like
just
a bad
little
person.
bit. Yeah. He's not
just like
terrible.
a little
He's
too self-important
he's
and
a little
like
guy.
he's overcompensating, but like there's a lot of room to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For instance, he could become a vampire. That would be an improvement.
Or a screaming golden skeleton.
So this game, obviously, this was the first time it's ever been played. I will probably make some tweaks. I will make some adjustments, and then when the game jam goes live, I'm going to upload it to itch.io as a part of that game jam. So I think that's just going to be in a couple of days. It's going to start up.
Yeah,
hell
that's
yeah.
exciting. What's your itch.io link, and where can folks find you on the internet?
So my itch.io is currently blank because there are no games on it. But you can find me on Twitter at Alesha Kills. That's ALESHAKILLS. And I will definitely be posting updates and info and links as soon as they are available.
Heck yeah. Do you have a name for your itch.io picked out yet, or are you still working on it?
I'm still thinking about it. Alesha Kills, that's just sort of been the brand, so
that's a good brand.
It's a good brand.
Is that related to Alesha who smiles at death, the magic card?
It is.
Oh,
yes.
So good. Okay. Do we have any other stuff? We don't really have. We're not good at ending our streams. That's one of our features.
We just kind of put it. We can do our plugs.
Oh yeah, right. And feel free to plug any other projects you have going, any other cool stuff that is that's happening.
Patreon.com/Alesha Kills, same spelling. I post articles there. I post game reviews there. And I am working on something for some homebrew content for Thirsty Sword Lesbians. That's going to be up there. I
love homebrew content for Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Yeah. Thirsty Sword Lesbians, great game. Look it up if you don't know it. I have written a playbook called The Blade Soul, where you are a person. If sword lesbian wasn't literal enough for you, you can be a lesbian who turns into a sword.
Yes. Can someone else then like pull you out of their chest dramatically?
Oh, absolutely they can.
Yes. Oh, I am very looking forward to that. That sounds amazing. What you got going on, Lara?
I have a Twitter at GlaveQuizArm and an itch.io. Also GlaveQuizArm. Just search for GlaveQuizArms and scroll past all of your medieval polearm fan pages, and eventually you'll find me. And I don't have anything that I can really talk about that's coming out anytime soon, but I got a lot of big stuff in the works. A lot of big stuff.
Mm-hmm. Very exciting. What do I have going on? You can find me on Twitter at Fractal Dragon, and my games are at fractaldragon.itch.io. We're having a real good time on the All Nerds Here channel playing Hardwired Island. I have a very cool cyberpunk game going with the amazing Disaster Crew there, so you can check that out on Wednesdays. And I think that's about everything that is time relevant. Next week for Unplaytested, we are going to be probably releasing our podcast episode Well, I can't tell you what it's about because then that would ruin the surprise of us rolling it. But look forward to a wild one.
Can we say the title, which will convey no information whatsoever?
Yeah, definitely say the title that you have doubtlessly memorized.
Kalon Absolute Apotheosis.
Yeah, it's a game about Kalon Absolute Apotheosis. So, look
Sounds
forward
fantastic.
to that. Well, for our friends who hung out in the chat, it was great to see you there. For anybody who is catching this on the VOD, great to see you as well. I hope that you are able to survive or at least enjoy whatever happens in a month and 3 days to the moon. And if not, my condolences.
Watch out for the time holes. Goodbye.
Bye.